nice to see you. It's Wednesday, it's 4 o'clock, so it's time for...
Oh, my cue.
That's your cue. I'm not going to touch you this week.
Right, so my cue. The cue is we are talking about how to get faster.
Jack. Sorry.
How to get faster and how to avoid injuries. This is a massive topic, but let's rewind back at the start. Why are we talking about this? Well, when we started Fit School, it was a amalgamation of two minds into one, wasn't it? And I was very much into running. Used to run a lot, and I was getting into running coaching. Karen was also into fitness, and also was bringing into her interests Pilates and the pre and postnatal training. We merged together. And
by the way, if you've not met us before, I'm Karen. That's Chris.
And through this, we found a lot of our members wanted to run. So we thought, well, this is the way our business is going to go.
Yeah, we didn't start with money, did we?
Nope, we didn't.
We started with Pilates, and then we did a fitness camp.
Yeah.
Well done, Karen.
And then it morphed into running. So now we have runners, and the goal is that slowly but surely I'm trying to filter through and across all the athletic training, the conditioning work, which you learn. That's my daughter in the background, which we learn to pass over to our members so they can learn how to run better and also do things that they would normally never do, but they do it in our session. So that's where we started with our run club, which is our Saturday morning session. So now we're at the stage where our runners have been running for quite some time, and they are, I would say, almost like amateur athletes. You know, they've crossed that bridge from just running for fun to wanting to maybe run a bit further, set more times, and we feel that a lot of people go through that as well. They start running for a bit of fun, and then they want to maybe enter an event, get a little faster. But the problem comes, two problems. What are they?
The first problem is actually, so say someone's doing couch to 5k, they're doing really well. Quite a lot of people, we gauged this a few weeks ago, a lot of people who follow our Instagram page are perhaps starter runners. Hi Tracy. So they are going for the sort of couch to 5k, they're in the sort of 2 to 3k, do really, really well. And then they get niggles, injuries, problems with the ankles, knees, worried about their knees, and it makes them stop. And on the same strength, you'll get people who are maybe already doing those 5Ks, want to run a little further, and again, then get just bogged down by persistent injuries, ankles, knees, etc., etc. So that's number one. Number two is?
Speed. People think, I want to get faster. Is this me for the rest of my life? Can I get any quicker? Do I just consolidate my running times? Some don't have that goal, but that is something that people often ask us about. They'll say, can I actually get any faster? So
they don't admit that that's what they want.
Yeah.
And then a lot of people get into this cycle of thinking in order to run further or run faster, all they need to do is run more. Hi Mel, is run more and run further, because actually that's what a lot of running plans entail, is more volume, but they're constantly doing that same steady state running for longer and longer. And if I can go a bit Jonathan Van Tam here and use an analogy, it would be like having a cake, right, that you like to make, and just making the same cake every single time and it never getting any better, right? But at some point you might want to turn that into like a tiered wedding cake or a gâteau, or you might want to kind of, improve that cake. But if you're doing the same thing over and over again, and then your oven breaks, you're a bit stuffed. That's my cake analogy. I'm not sure if it worked there.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah, thanks for that.
Good. So the issue we have, I have as a coach, and I try
to go and see what she's doing. Sorry, you carry on.
I try and just get into the chocolate orange.
You're right, lovely.
I try and hold it back because we are trying to coach and help people, and our members get this and they understand how my personality works. But I'm talking about general population, people out in the street who come and speak to me and say, "Oh, I want to get faster and running." The issue I have is runners tend to be very stubborn. They don't listen. They just know what they know. I put my trainers on, I run, and then that's it. And so I find when people ask me those questions, they actually don't want to know how to run faster or how to avoid injuries. They're just trying to have a conversation. And I would say 90% of the conversation I have with people who run, who ask about injuries and who want to run faster, don't actually listen.
Hi, Karen.
So I have got to be very careful about how I talk to people to know that the information is not being wasted and that they are, I guess, they're getting a little bit to maybe move them towards the point of listening.
If there are any coaches watching this, actually, you'll know this. That's sort of our job as a coach, any kind of coach, is there's stuff that we want to share with you, like that we know, and that's what we want to do. If we were being completely egotistical about this, that's what we do. However, you want a thing, right? You want a thing, and that's really what we need to sell to you, that we're giving you. The beauty is when they meet in the middle. So maybe, you know, someone's been doing Run Club for a really long time. They keep saying, I need to get my core stronger. And there's this like Pilates class thing that goes on every week, and they might want to just dip their toe in, but we can't say that right at the start. Instead, we start doing a little bit of core work in the class that they're already coming to, and then gradually they might come on over. So you get the drift. It's a kind of meeting, lovely. It's the jam in the middle of the sandwich cake, isn't it?
Like you,
I know. I'm hungry.
Right, I know.
I've done too much exercise.
So,
Sorry.
this is the issue we have. We're trying to help a lot of people who want the help, but secretly they're not ready or in that place to obviously do something about it. So what I'm trying to sort of help, let's say non-members, our members all understand and they're all on board and they understand that, you know, we're trying to, you know, get them faster and have less injuries.
We care.
The people who aren't in that position, I'm going to ask you this question right now. Would you like to run faster, and would you like to have less injuries? And if you do, you are 20 minutes away per week of having both. Not only that, have a think about your long-term relationship with running. Do you want to run for fun, but for health long-term? Or do you want to get to that point where you're in a bit of a cycle where you get these niggles and you're capped at how far you can run, how fast you can run, and then what happens then is you get into shiny object syndrome where you don't know how to improve, and then you listen to someone's advice, and this worked for somebody, and that worked for somebody else.
So you just signed up for a marathon.
Yeah, one of the worst pieces of advice you can have from somebody is try this because it worked for me.
Yes.
That's not a coach who's talking to you. That's someone who just is
likes running,
or maybe just wants to just try and help, but has no idea how to. Most things work and have an application in some form or other. The key to the coaching is knowing where that point or that application fits for the person who is at that particular point. For example, you might need to do some conditioning, or you may just need to focus on running or running technique, or work on speed, speed endurance. So we're going to work on one thing today. That's all. We're going to talk about foot strike, and that is it. Where this fits into your program, that is a massive conversation. But we're going to talk about foot strike and speed, getting faster.
What is foot strike, Chris?
Well, this is what we're going to talk about now. So foot strike is how the foot hits the floor. The contact with the foot against the floor. That is pretty much it. The thing that increases speed
Stay with us.
The thing that increases speed is the time your foot spends on the ground and how much force your foot exerts on the ground too. So that again.
Bit like a bouncy ball.
How much time your foot spends on the ground and how much force your ground exerts onto how much force your foot exerts onto the ground. The force and the time. They are the things that get you faster. Nothing else. Nothing else gets you faster. Running quicker is a combination of contact, force and time, and then maybe a bit of endurance, but it doesn't start without that force and that time. Now, we do this a lot in Run Club. We do hopping drills and work on ankle strength and foot strength. That's where most of the force production happens. But yet, if you don't work on those things and try and get faster, you're trying to increase the speed of your increase the speed of your car without increasing the power of the engine or the tyres.
Good analogy.
That's what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
And then what will happen is you'll blow a gasket out of your weakest point, which could be the Achilles, the knee might go, the hamstring might get recruited too, because your brain's trying to get more speed out of your legs, but the engine can't provide that. And then more technically, you may find you have plantar issues, toe issues, and then unfortunately that requires a lot of retraining. So that's why, and if Run Clubbers are here today, they'll know we do quite a bit of footwork, calf work, bounce work, a lot of plyometric work. Yes, thanks Tracy. A lot of footwork and calf work, because what happens when you get injured, people often say, oh, this injured me, or the run injured me, or no. Most injuries tend to happen either through a load issue or a training error. And a load issue is it's just forced through an area that can't take it. And after a while, it just gets injured. The training error could be you maybe increase the amount of running you've done too quickly. That's why you need to figure out a way to make a bespoke plan, whether it's Couch to K or a running program. At some point, you've got to figure out where you fit on that plan. And it won't be a linear progression. You might think, actually, this run progression's too much for me. I've got to back off, or it's too easy. Maybe got to add a bit more extra things into that as well. And so at some point, you won't fit on any program. You've got to pick and fine tune where you fit into that. And this is what I mean by training error. There's always those two things. Now, as we all know, when somebody has got injured running, most physios say, stop running.
Yeah.
Because that eradicates those two issues, the load and the training error.
It stops the pain. So to a physio looking to stop someone's pain,
yeah,
that's the obvious thing to do. And it is.
Yeah.
It is.
It's logical. I mean, it makes sense. But you kick the can further down the road.
But that's not like it's like not getting in the car, isn't
Correct.
it?
And then the problem with that is that you lower your level of condition to the point where you can't even do anything for there to be no pain. Now, you don't need to run for hours a day to get the benefits from running, but if someone can't run for, let's say, maybe 3 to 5 minutes without there being some pain, that's anecdotal evidence from our point of view that there's an issue which needs to be addressed. A 5-minute run should not cause you pain, where you can't walk 24 hours later.
Yeah.
So that's a level to build up to. And with that, you then regress back and figure out where the issue is, train that, and work out what you can do to sustain a 5-minute pace of running. And then some maybe 10, 15, 20, 30 minutes, who knows. But I'd say at the bottom level, you're looking at 5 minutes at least.
I think everything's all right upstairs, by the way, just in case you were alarmed by the noise.
So
just ignore it.
So what conditioning does, and when we talk about running conditioning is just getting your body used for what you're trying to get it to do. And when you're looking at, let's say, leg conditioning for running, you're trying to increase the size of your engine. There you go, size of your engine, so that when you go out and run and train, that you can cope with the force in your body, the force being placed on that. The mismatch is when people go out and they think, yeah, I'm going to go out and I'm going to do Couch to 5K, or I'm going to run every day 2 kilometers a day, 3 kilometers a day, 5 kilometers a day. No idea, Tracy. And they've not even consulted, not even a professional or an expert, forget that. They've never even consulted their body, whether their body can cope with that. And then they get to the point where they feel a niggle, and then all of a sudden, boom, that's it. You're almost done, because the pain will be created during the training. What you do around that is irrelevant. So some people often say to me, "Oh, I think I injured myself because I didn't warm up properly or cool down properly." That it does have a role. That's more performance rather than injury, but the stress has already been created in the run. So let's say you've strained your Achilles tendon. Nothing you can do after the next 24, 48 hours will prevent that injury from manifesting. It's done. So you've got to look at the volume of running you're doing, how you're running, the speed, the condition, many things. And that's what we try and do. There we go, we've got a little issue. That's what we try and do. We do the work for people, so to be able to structure your program so you can actually just go on there and run and not worry about it. So don't forget that there are 2 main issues with running. It's a load injuries, it's a load issue, or it will be a training error. And if it is one of those things, you've got to be able to figure out where you can pick apart the program and then put it back together so that you can actually go out and run normally and pain-free. Right, so foot striking. So the heel or the ball of the feet. Now, we often talk about how the foot makes contact with the ground, whether it's the flat foot or heel strike or flat foot or the ball of the feet. Without getting too technical today, it all depends. The majority of very fast runners land on the balls of their feet, whereas you get some elite who land with the heel and the flat feet. But the thing is, they still have a very fast contact time. Heel strikers tend to slow down because their heel is landing like that rather than under their body. And a good way to get around this is, and I did this a while ago with kids, practice running downhill. Not a steep hill, downhill. And what that will do is you must almost feel you're taking the brakes off you running, because you'll put your heel out in front trying to slow yourself down like you're walking down the stairs. But you've got to get used to running downhill where you feel you're almost speeding up, almost to the point where you're out of control. that is one of the other sides of how to run quicker, where you've got to get your foot in the right position to be able to accelerate as you go down the hill. As adults, being risk averse now, you will try and slow yourself down for fear of hurting yourself. That's not a bad place to be in life. We don't want to hurt ourselves. But you'll also be putting on the brakes, which doesn't enable you to run faster, to get the foot under the body to be able to keep that speed up. You'll be putting the foot in front of the body and almost slowing yourself down when you run down that hill. So there are a couple of really easy things to do. So if you only take away, a couple of things from today. It's if you get injured, it could be a load issue or a training issue, but that can be broken down even further with regards to, does that area need to be conditioned enough to cope with the load I'm trying to exert on that? And one area is the foot and the ankle and Achilles. The other thing is the program. Can you then make it bespoke for you rather than just following a program which someone else is doing? One of the worst programs you can do is the one which your friend has given you or said, this worked for me, works for you. If somebody says that, run a mile, because they obviously don't know how varied people's bodies are and where they are on that line of progression.
The other thing is actually, thinking again about Couch to 5K, is quite often people, you see comments on running forums. My friend said,
Can't handle us.
I know you can't, but
I
keep my head in. So someone might say, I said to my friend, I'm on week 3, I'm finding it really hard. Did you? And the friend said, no, it was really easy. There's a real interesting case in point there of it wasn't a particularly encouraging thing to say, but also all sorts of data. But also, they just needed a different program. The program, they were on a different trajectory. So that was quite a tricky word to say. Trajectory.
Correct. Yeah.
But the other thing I wanted to say with this, 2 things actually. One is, don't be discouraged. This isn't about discouraging you from running. Right, running's great. It's it's free. It's out there. It's easy. But there are ways of, if you're someone that's running and thinks, will this ever get fun? Well, this is kind of how it gets fun. You get fitter, you get stronger, but the right kind of strength for you, and it does then become much more enjoyable because you're not hurting, and you can then enjoy the experience. So that's what we're about. We're always about trying to help you to find ways of enjoying things in your life more by training. It's not about being, no one's ever going to be faster than Mo Farah, are they really? So, it's a bit of an
I think some hope they would be.
Not me. I want to go out for a run and enjoy the nice,
and be pain
enjoy
free.
The nice flowers.
Yeah.
That's
not hobble home. Because your ankle's sore.
Yeah, absolutely. And to be able to keep running because I'm not injured, and that's really important to me. But the other thing on this is, this research, actually, the reason we're talking about this today is it comes from some work Chris has been doing on his athletics training. So this is actually pretty new research that's come out, the actual statistics, which is literally, I think, that someone that does strength and conditioning was their 5K time was 45 seconds quicker, and that's quite a big gain.
That's massive.
And their injury risk was reduced by 70%, which was amazing. There was actually another little nugget, which was that running is really good for osteoarthritis in the knees.
Golden Bay.
Whereas
some people have just fallen off
their
chairs.
I know. Whereas most people think that it's bad for knees. Actually, there is a lot of evidence to the contrary, but the things that we're saying about conditioning those areas are part and parcel of the package. You put it into low power mode, we might be laggy.
I'll just distill that last bombshell about osteoarthritis in the knee and running, because it needs to be broken down into a few key areas. One is when you look at the knee under an MRI, the condition of the knee is not always correlated to levels of pain and discomfort and how that knee functions. I have spoken to, over the last 15 years, 3-4 surgeons who have said they've often been bamboozled at how MRIs never correlate to the way a knee functions. Someone may have a knee that looks terrible, they have no pain, and then vice versa. So that's the first thing. The second thing is when you look at why a knee may be causing you pain and why it's wear and tear. So wear and tear will happen as you get older. And then the third thing is why the knee may be causing you pain could be down to many of the factors. And one of them is condition and how the muscles support the knee itself, which again links back to condition. So when you look at running as an activity, which is just about moving you forward where your foot is striking the floor and forces go up through your body, It's not as much a jarring issue which affects the knee, it's more the hinge issue which affects the knee. So people often think in their heads, knee, that's what happens to the knees when you run. That's not actually true. The force is spread, or it should spread up through your foot, all the way up to your hip and into your core. So if one area isn't working well, the other areas take more load. That's what I said earlier about a load issue. If the areas aren't spread out, taking you over when you're running in a sort of a more symmetrical way or more even way, the load goes through a certain area. If you feel your knee is sore after a couple of minutes, that's a problem, right? There's something that needs to be done.
Assuming you've warmed up.
If you've warmed up, yeah. There's an issue there that needs to be done. But running for hours and hours and hours and hours, well, yeah, sorry Tracy, running for hours and hours is not going to affect your knees if you know how to condition your knees and how to run properly, and you also know how to recover as well in between. Because again, more studies. There was one study done on marathon runners and ultra-marathon runners and looked at their knees and their knee on osteoarthritis, and we saw no correlation. So, by the way, ultra-marathon runners are marathon distance and above, so up to 100 kilometres per event.
People that really like running.
Yeah, exactly. For hours and hours and hours. And they show no correlation between the distance they travelled and also osteoarthritis in the knees. There was none whatsoever. So that doesn't mean that running does not injure the knee. It's more the condition of the person prior to starting the exercise.
Yeah.
And as you always say, exercise rarely creates the issue, it just speeds it up.
Yeah, especially as you get older, sadly.
You can't hear us. Oh dear.
Oh.
Can anybody hear us?
Oh, Chris put us into low power mode,
sorry.
didn't you?
Hang on a second.
Hang on a sec. Bear with us. Chris put us into low power mode, and I think that's affected the performance of this. Brilliant. So, what can you do with this information? Really important to share. You read that bit while I carry on. So, what can you do with this information? Well, obviously, Chris is going to... Well, we have our run club every Saturday morning, which is part of our membership, and we've got a £30 trial on that, so you can do two classes a week for 30 days with us for £30, which is a bargain. You could also just check in for a virtual couple with us, so 15 minutes on the blower, have a little conversation if there's something that you're not sure about, you're not sure what to do with it, that's free. You can have a 30-minute check-in with Chris, or some runners actually, they don't want to do our classes, they've got their program, but Chris sees them for 60 minutes, 60-minute consultation, writes them a running program, and as part of that he can analyse, that's if you're doing marathon or something, and analyse what you're eating. Oh, thanks, Kath. Analyse what you are taking in, what kind of... he'll look at all your Garmin stats and stuff, because he likes doing that. So, so they're the things that you can do. Keep following us on Instagram, actually. We're going to share... Chris is going to do also a webinar, a kind of workshop on this. So we will put the information on Instagram, and that will give you a few more kind of practical things that you could be doing. So, if you want to join that, I'm going to get the information up on our Garmin Stats.
For interrupt quickly.
You did interrupt then.
I know, but this is really, really important.
It's more important than what I was
Karen's
about to say.
Finish something off, but can people ask questions now?
Yeah.
We've got a few more minutes, and then I'll answer them before we finish this call.
Yeah, and also, if you're watching this not live, pop a comment below. We'll answer it. Yes, there is, Tracy. There's Run Club on Zoom every Saturday morning at 8 a.m.
Right. So quickly, Kath's question was about forefoot striking. And forefoot striking, which Isaac joins in as well.
Yeah, and I have to say, actually, it's grown-ups and juniors.
Yeah.
On a Saturday morning at 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
With this man.
Yeah, he joins in. Brilliant. Right, so foot striking, Kath. It's a tricky concept. The issue is more contact, time, and force. And I would not be keen to change the contact with the floor unless there's an issue. There's a few who we've changed the foot striking with because it had knee issues. If there's a knee issue, you tend to switch it more to the ball of the foot, and if it's a sort of a calf or an Achilles issue, you switch it more to the heel. So it all depends. I would not be keen to change it around much more than that. unless you want to get full, I guess, a biomechanics assessment done on treadmills, and not the ones that runners need or the runner shops. You go and see kind of a running physio, and they put you on, hook you up, and do that. But from our point of view, many people don't need that, and I would just play around with the contact force. And the force cap is what we talked about, where you're pushing the ground away harder, and you're almost punching the ground harder with your foot. The knee stays much stiffer, but the muscles around the knee and the hip and the ankle need to be strong enough to cope with what you're asking it to do. Hence why, if we just said to somebody now, yeah, let's go out and work on contact force, which is pushing the ground harder, run faster, and the joints aren't able to cope with that, they're going to get injured.
Can I just say, anecdotally, on that point, I was training for an event, and Chris gave me a little tip to run more on my toes, and I went out and I did my entire run on my toes, and I pulled my calf. Really silly thing to do, just took that information a little bit too much on board, and that was just trying to play around with something, and one 5k totally pulled my calf because it wasn't the right thing to do. So stupid thing to do.
Yeah, and Karen runs on her toes anyway.
Yeah.
So it's and also it's not necessarily toes, it's balls of the feet, and it's spring. So it's a very different feel. It's not.
Point being, I should have really done that bit and not just gone out and thought I knew what I was doing because I was being stubborn.
Correct. Garmin Stats, Tracy. Garmin Stats are essential. The reason why your stats are essential is, and this links down to cadence and comes back to Kath's question as well. Your cadence, or the amount of strides you take per minute, when you get faster, they don't go up. They stay the same. What happens is your running efficiency goes up. That means that you're running the same number of strides per minute, but you're actually running faster. So you're on the ground. You're on the ground for less time. You're pushing through the ground harder. So you do the same number of strides, and actually initially they go down because it's easier to run over a minute the same time you were previously. So your strides per minute go down. Then they go up once you start to work on more speed work, and that's why some speed work in your running program is important, because it helps to create that efficiency of pushing down through the ground. And I've said it before, that we always look like we've been dragged through a hedge backwards at the end of a run. So make sure your friends are at the start line taking pictures, not at the finish, because that's our best running form. And at the end, we're almost, the contact time on the ground is increasing, and that bouncy ball is getting flatter and flatter and flatter. And think how hard it is to get that ball to bounce.
Yeah, it's like an old ball, really, isn't it, that's lost its bounce. Tracy's got another question there. So, before running at all, could I practice walking correctly? Really good question.
Yes. So what I would, in fact, what I've given to, one of our clients. So what I suggest you do is when you walk, the important thing is feeling the contact and the push away when you walk. So when the foot hits the floor, this is the foot, toes, and this is the ball of the foot. You want to feel that you're actually getting into that position where you're pushing down through the ball of the feet, the heel lifts up, rather than flopping from one foot to the next. And that back foot should feel stiff on the floor, like you've got a bit of a spring, rather than trying to shift away quickly to the next foot. So we spend more time on the down leg when you're walking to strengthen the feet and the ankles, so that when you then go into the run, it creates a spring. Quite often when we feel ourselves running, and you see people running and rocking side to side, that could be down to a foot issue, that you're trying to almost flip the weight from one side to the next without enough force down through the ground. When you look at the very elite runners, their heads, they bob a little bit, but not very much.
They don't really move, do they?
But then when you look at, us as recreational runners, we're all over the place.
Swinging ponytails.
And that, I mean, it's not really, it will swing, but to a certain degree, it's more to do with not enough force down through the ground. And when you throw the weight to one side, your foot's trying to catch yourself, and then it catches itself for the next stride, and then it catches itself for the other stride. You almost got to try and feel you're meeting the ground. Yes, you've got to try and find you're meeting the ground with your foot rather than the ground meeting you. So you're trying to punch your foot down to the floor. But this is quite technical.
I was going to say, this is quite a lot of technical information.
It is.
Can you give me like a basic one exercise that I could do, Chris, to help with some of this?
Yeah, it's hopping on the spot.
Yeah.
One leg, hop on the spot. When you hop on the spot, you want to feel you can do at least 15 to 20 hops. The leg is not bending too much. Okay, so the knee is fairly stiff, and you're landing on the ball of the feet. And try and feel. See, she's liking the technical stuff. See?
Okay, I wasn't saying she wasn't.
Feel that the heel, it just taps the floor and lifts, but most of the weight is on the ball of the feet. 15 each side, 20, and then to 25.
I want to see you hopping, Tracy. Just for a minute there.
That's the first one, and then a second one will be quite simple. Just can you jog on the spot for between 2.5 to 3 minutes with with that same technique. The ball's just almost like skipping. Can you do that? That would be a first starting point for most people.
That's it.
Yeah.
So, as we said before, if you actually head to fit-school.co.uk/running, there's lots of information on there. And we'll post up on this Instagram page the details of the webinar that Chris is going to be running, which will go into more detail on this, with some more of the exercises that you could be doing at home.
Yeah.
But just DM us, send us a message, put us a comment in below if you've got any questions, and we will get back to you. And as we said, we're human beings. We love to help, and we love the dilemmas, because let's face it, they help us to know what to talk about on a Wednesday.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you all for joining us today. That's been fun, hasn't it?
Yeah.
And let us know if this was useful and something else you'd find useful.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Was it the?
I tell you what, Chris. Why don't you record what you said you were going to do, and we'll pop it up on our Instagram posts.
I'm pretty sure we do that, Kath. To be honest, I'm pretty sure we do it.
It was a hop, Kath.
Yeah, it was
a hop.
It was a hop on a spot and a skip. Yeah, we already do that.
All right.
Okay. We'll do a few exercises there so you can see where we're trying to get you to. But again, the important thing, as I mentioned earlier, is it's got to fit in the right place.
And you can see the difference between my hopping and his hopping.
Just having an exercise and hoping it's going to cure all ills is part of the issue in the fitness industry. That it needs to be specific to you, and that it works. But for most people, I'd say just start off with a hop, and we'll show you how to hop. We'll see how it works. But beyond that, runners, if you've seen this live, thanks for coming. Share this with other runners, and if other runners get offended by the comments about not listening, tough. You don't listen. You're stubborn. I grind my gears. I go to sleep pulling my hairs out. That's why my hair is quite short right now, because I've been pulling it out so much on these runners forums.
We won't name names, but
but at the end of the day, I know that.
Oh, brilliant!
I know you get stuck into something because you really enjoy it, and it's difficult to take a back step sometimes and to try and think, can I condition myself to get better? Trust me, you're 20 minutes away a week of being able to have less injuries and run faster. But look at
and as Chris says, Chris's nugget on a Saturday morning: enthusiasm at 8 o'clock isn't essential. You just need to turn up and do the stuff.
Yes,
he'll do the hard bit. He'll guide you through it. Oh, no worries, Mel. Mel's children are athletics as well.
Yeah.
So there's some athletics nuggets for you there, Mel. Come join us on a Saturday morning with your kids.
Yeah. At the end of the day, if you know it's something you want to do, or you need to do and you can't do it, you need to think to yourself, I've got to get somebody else to help me through this, and that's where a group might help you with that, or just someone giving you a program to do. But just in general, just try and shift your thinking.
If it sounds complicated, just if you come along and he'll tell you what to do. Okay. Right. See you all soon. See you next week.
Take care. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.